Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and Loki gave us 6 episodes packed with hidden Easter eggs, most of which I thought I found in our exhaustive breakdowns, but wake up from that hibernation, Winter Soldier Voss. There are at least 30 more insane details to hunt down in a full season rewatch and the behind the scenes documentary. Assembled, you gotta check that out, it's full of great stuff. I'm gonna break it all down for you, from the nerdy secrets on the blackboard in the Citadel to the horny secrets on the whiteboard in the writer's room. You thought I'd forget about the shots I missed, but I remember all of them. Let's rewind back to episode 1. Loki crash lands in the Gobi Desert, and the clothes the Mongolians wear actually get reused later in the series because Jonathan Majors revealed He Who Remains clothes are a collage of different settings and time periods to reflect his experiences, including
every piece we decided was from a different place. The cape I had on was from the Victoria era, the shoes are from Genghis Khan, the pants from Mongolia, etc.
Yes, so the pants of Loki's ultimate enemy are literally hidden behind a curtain of this Mongolian's outerwear. The designers said that the time doors were visually inspired by the translucent, blocky design of the shields in David Lynch's Dune, not to be confused with the Denis Villeneuve version that's coming out later this year, a little less Tetris-y. And the purple smoke in the reset charges was likely derived from the purple smoke of Eliath, whose void these pruned things get sent to. Hunter B-15 has scratch marks on her helmet, tallying her pruning, so badass. But notice how all of the Chronomonitor's uniforms have black and burnt orange parts that interchange from soldier to soldier, which the costumer called their Harlequin design to reflect the Rubik's Cube-like interchangeability of time in this show. The production designers built the TVA with an inner class system, they said, reflected in the types of workers and their uniforms and in the structural layout of the building. On the bottom level is security, home to starkly dressed officers. The middle level is management, home to the plainly dressed clerks and agents. And the top level is legal, home to more sharply dressed judges with their fancy sashes. The stanchion room was deliberately designed with overhead lamps with tipped light bulbs so that it would look like countless eyes staring down at you, like the eyes of the TVA agents and the variant Kangs watching your every move.
If you look at it, it looks like a sea of eyeballs, essentially.
See, when I point out these eye shapes in the set design, folks, I'm not bullshitting you. The set designers are the same big brotherian paranoia that I have. The BTS documentary actually showed concept art of this room that included a variant rocket, meaning that was one rejected concept. Concept art of President Loki's bandit gang also includes a kitty cat variant. But the most interesting BTS photo I saw shows head writer Michael Waldron in the writer's room outlining episode 1. Now, on that whiteboard is a circle. This is the story circle developed by Dan Harmon, whom Waldron previously worked with on Rick and Morty. Harmon derived this from Joseph Campbell's monomyth as a way to force characters to break past simple A to B stories you see in TV writing to more cathartic cyclical journeys in which they evolve past what they thought they wanted to truly change. The circle has 8 steps: you, need, go, search, find, take, return, and change. And if you slide over to the left, you can see one proposed 8-step story for episode 1 that was clearly changed. 1, Loki visiting different time periods. 2, doing crazy mischief, aka sex. 3, pivots to taking power. 4, collecting infinity stones. 5, has the gauntlet, holds power, more sex, spy, alien, etc. 6, alone in the throne room, he's taken power but is inflected with the thoughts that it isn't real because of the TVA's control over free will. 7, returns to the TVA, gauntlets power down, Mobius is waiting for him. 8, Loki gives honest answers to Mobius. Mobius shows the sheer power of the TVA. So, one original plan for episode 1 was for Loki to go on more of a sexcapade and follow in Thanos' footsteps and achieve the full Infinity Gauntlet. But like in that 5th find step, what you think you wanted isn't really what you really need. So then moving on to the 6th take step of beginning to pay an emotional price for that of his existential crisis, leading to return to the TVA with a whole depowered gauntlet instead of just a Tesseract, but still with a very cathartic ending similar to the one we actually got in episode 1. Also in this episode, Loki threatens Casey.
Give me the Tesseract or I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
Which you could see as a nod to the character Casey in the Scream opening scene.
You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish.
And in the scene where Loki sees his own death on the film, notice how the tape plays several seconds after his actual neck snap, meaning that version of Loki might have actually felt Thor hugging his broken body. And then in the final scene, the oil field, the shovel that Sylvie uses to lure them there, if you look closely at their temp pad, this is a quantum ore shovel manufactured by Advanced Idea Mechanics, the company of Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3, and perhaps a link to MODOK's coming arrival in the MCU. And in the credits of each episode, the poster on the locker changes episode to episode. Episode 1, Always Watching. It's an episode about Loki learning that all of his actions are being watched. Episode 2, Less Meetings, More Productivity, the timeline demands it. Get me this poster. And this is an episode about Loki bristling against the clerical duties of the TVA. Episode 3, the timeline is only as strong as its weakest moment, an episode that leaves Loki at his weakest moment on the doomed planet of Lamentus 1. Episode 4, Hunters, for an episode that definitely softens and characterizes Mobius and the Hunter B-15. Episode 5, Nexus Events Must Be Pruned, an episode about each variant's Nexus event. And episode 6, Stable Society, Tidy Timeline, in which He Who Remains tries to justify his actions to stabilize the timeline. Also changing episode to episode in the credits are the cast photos under the casting director credit. Episode 1, Loki in his various forms, including DB Cooper. Episode 2, Loki as a TVA agent and Hooded Sylvie. Episode 3, Sylvie and Loki together in Lamentus 1. Episode 4, Young Sylvie, Sylvie and B-15, and Sylvie and Loki's Nexus event. Episode 5, the new Loki variants we meet in the Void. And episode 6, some that we've seen before, but now including Loki sitting sadly in the Time Theater. But over all of these, there is a hand in the corner sliding around on the table. This could be the hand of He Who Remains, rifling through the various Lokis as he reviews his script prior to the big meeting in episode 6. By the way, after a long day trying to find all this stuff, I like to kick back with a nice glass of wine. But the problem is, I'm no expert, and I don't know that I'm gonna be an expert anytime soon. Well, lucky for me, there is Bright Cellars. They use a quiz to determine your taste preferences, and then they show you a list of the top 6 wines that you're most likely to enjoy from around the world. And they educate you about wine along the way to help you find your new favorites. And if you like your recommendations and want to try them, they'll ship them straight to your door. Each bottle comes with an educational card with tips about serving and pairing. Let's see what's in the box this time. Ooh, we got Silverscape wine. It says it's leading with powerful aromas of dark fruits like blackberry, blackcurrant, boysenberry. Ooh hoo hoo. We also got a Crypsis. And the tales from the Crypsis are, this is an elegant red with beautiful ruby color and aromas of plum, raspberry, and blackberry. You know, I think I'll start with this one and then finish with this one. It's gonna be a fun night. I've actually gotten a few boxes from Bright Cellars, and based on my ratings, they sent me these new wines, and I'm so grateful. Bright Cellars is giving our followers 60% off their first 4-bottle box. That's an amazing deal. So follow the link and take the quiz and get started. But on episode 2, after Mobius says that he expected Loki to stab in the back, I like how later in the episode, in the Rockstars store, he refuses to let Loki walk behind him. In episode 3, the mining town of Lamentus 1 was decorated with Cyrillic letters, including Pripyat, that's the town where Chernobyl occurred, and NKVD, the Soviet Interior Ministry, reversed, just as a way of evoking the whole abandoned feel of this industrial town. And while I speculated that sign and alien lettering on the building that Sylvie checks might translate to prereq, using that 123234 substitution code, it actually more likely translates to mining. In episode 4, the voices of the Timekeeper androids were done by Jonathan Majors.
At last, you've arrived before us.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Which explains why in those episode credits no one was credited for those characters, only the on-set readers before Major's audio was dubbed in because they didn't want to spoil it. Now in episode 5, I thought I found most of the stuff in the Void, but there was this bus near Loki in the opening shot, which has the name Callum Ross. And I swear to God, I did find this, but I was like, why is a Toronto area mortgage broker important to the MCU? But actually, Callum Ross is also the name of an editor who works on the Loki series. The voice of Throg grunting is actually Chris Hemsworth's audio. And in episode 6, I got nearly all of the MCU audio clips in the intro, which was really hard because most of them actually were not in the closed captions. But there was one additional one, Shuri from Black Panther.
It's another broken white boy for us to fix.
There's also way more music in this mix than the ones I pointed out. It's been a long, long time. Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake and Beethoven's Für Elise, For the Sake of Auld Lang Syne.
How dare they?
I Can Say by Pat Thomas. I Put a Spell on You by Nina Simone.
Put a spell on you.
A Bollywood song, Swag Saha Nahi Jay by Sonakshi Sinha. And an 80s hit, I Should Be So Lucky by Kylie Minogue. Now, the Citadel's kintsugi-looking design was, according to the director, not intended to be broken shards of the multiverse reassembled, but really the whole Citadel carved out from that asteroid that itself had these streaks inside of it. Now, on the floor of the inner chamber is a Latin phrase, Omnia Tempus Enim Semper, aka for all time always. Meanwhile, the production designer said that mysterious broken fourth timekeeper statue, which I speculated could be the fourth timekeeper from the comics, the banished Oracle of Siwa, all they said is that answers will be forthcoming. Now in the elevator, He Who Remains says,
Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
and as he says this, Jonathan Majors looks directly into the camera, making this a meta message to the viewer as well. Like, if I don't meet your expectations, I don't want to hear it. Now, I pointed out that chalkboard calculus integral equations, but since then I've learned exactly what these are. This is the first part of the nonlinear integration equation used by quantum theorists to try to understand non-commutativity, aka the order of elements in a mathematical equation and whether or not they're interchangeable or nonlinear. It actually, in a way, echoes Alan Watts' philosophy that we heard at the beginning of the episode, which talked about time and how we assumed only moved in one direction, past caused the present, could actually be variable and fluid and interchangeable. And finally, by now you may have seen folks syncing the Loki finale with WandaVision's finale to show how the moment Wanda Maximoff powers up into the Scarlet Witch and allows Agatha to thunk on the ground syncs almost exactly with He Who Remains dropping an object on his desk to test if the sacred timeline has indeed broken. It's an interesting connection. I went into my thoughts and Inside Marvel, but as for what He Who Remains is actually doing by dropping this object, I'm thinking it may be a nod to Dr. Ian Malcolm's explanation of chaos theory and nonlinear equations in Jurassic Park when he dropped water on Laura Dern's hand to see which way the drop would roll each time.
Change. Why? Because tiny variations never repeat and vastly affect the outcome. That's why.
Unpredictability.
See, here I am now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory.
Yes, borrowing from other eccentric famous loners like Willy Wonka, I'm willing to bet Majors improvised this moment as a way of showing how He Who Remains, who scribbles the exact kind of equations Dr. Ian Malcolm would on that blackboard, is checking to see not how the object fell according to gravity, but how it landed on the table. Now, for everything else hidden in the show, feel free to rewatch our 6-episode breakdowns. In-depth work I'm very proud of the whole New Rockstars team for. If I didn't mention something here, it's probably in one of those videos. So if you are down in the comments and you're about to write one of these that we've already mentioned, or if you see someone else writing something we already mentioned on this or any other video, you have my permission to reply in all caps, "Boss already covered this." Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at EA Voss, follow New Rockstars, and subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching, bye.